So a few months ago, when I was back in Berkeley, someone said to me, "So I really don't understand this thing about being present. What about when the present sucks? What if I feel terrible in the present? Why would I want to be present?" It's a very good question, right? So this part takes a little bit of faith, because there's a dimension of our experience that is beyond what the emotions or physical sensations are that we're experiencing. So if we have a positive or a negative feeling, like we're happy about something, we're joyful, we could call that an emotional feeling. It's part of something that's semi-physical, we can feel it in the body. And likewise with something negative, if there's sadness, if there's grief, frustration, anger, these are modulations of our consciousness, and they have an impact on our physical sensation, on physical experience as well. But as we practice here, and hopefully some on your own too, there's the dimension of the awareness that is aware of the feeling that is itself not a feeling. It's not an emotion, it's not a physical feeling, but it's the context in which you're experiencing whatever it is that you're experiencing. Similar to the fact that as we sit in the room, there's our bodies in the room and there's what we're doing, and then there's just this open space of the room that we're sitting in. We tend to kind of ignore that. We take it for granted. Of course you need this space in the room, otherwise we couldn't fit in here. And yet there's an analog to that. It's not really an yet, it's and. There's an analog to that in our experience, that our consciousness is like a space within which everything is happening. And over time, the more that you practice being aware of that space, and also practice taking the attitude of that space, which is the opposite of the attitude that we ordinarily and spontaneously take on all the time, of needing to change something or get somewhere, because in the world of time we're always doing that. We're always moving towards something, moving away from something. But in terms of our awareness, the job of awareness is to just be aware. It can't choose to be aware of this and not that, otherwise you wouldn't be able to function. Hopefully your awareness, like your ears, are open. Your eyes can open and close. You can shut your eyes to something, but it's much harder to shut your ears to something. That's why sound is so much more disturbing, right? Like on an airplane, if someone is playing their music on the cell phone, that happens to me all the time. The noise, it just goes into the space. But we want that with our awareness. Our awareness needs to be open. Ordinarily, we're identified with our mind and our feelings, and so we're choosing this and choosing against that. But on the level of awareness, there's just this openness. So if we consciously, intentionally take the attitude of the awareness, that is to be open to whatever is, then the experience of that awareness, which is beyond thought and beyond feeling, starts to resonate and vibrate on the level of feelings and thoughts as well. So that the amount of joy and the amount of openness and sense of being relaxed and at peace with what's happening tends to increase. And that's why it's confusing, because once we get a taste of the sweetness of what's possible, then we start to want more of that, and then when we experience the opposite of that, we can forget to accept that also. We can forget to be present. And that's why it takes a little faith, because it takes faith and it takes a little bit of a sophisticated understanding to kind of outsmart ourselves and realize that when something arises that we naturally feel a resistance to, that we choose intentionally to first of all open to it. even if we have to do something about it to change it, but to first of all take this attitude of openness so that whatever impulse of kvetchiness, resistance, complaining, or whatever it is, whatever impulse that comes, it's not that you necessarily get rid of it. You don't have to get rid of it, but to realize that you're much bigger than it, that you are far more vast than anything that you actually feel in any given moment.